Hey y'all, I'm so sorry I'm using the robot voice for this video. You guys know I rarely ever use this voice, but I'm currently in the middle of the busiest week of my entire life and I literally did not have time to sit down and record. Using the robot voice cuts editing time in half and I wanted to post something so I wasn't keeping you all waiting. So I'm sorry about the voice and hopefully I won't have to use it again. But anyways, I posted one of these videos on Patreon recently and I had some opinions left over that weren't as messy, so I'm dumping them here as a sort of part 2. Let's jump into it. First opinion is, nobody was mad at Doja. Y'all swore up and down Doja was getting dragged by armies and 99% of you couldn't produce screenshots when we asked for sources. And when you could produce screenshots, they were from obvious trolls or the army in question was already being ratioed by other armies. You quite literally were fighting ghosts. Most armies were not upset with Doja. In fact, most of us like her. We were mad that the Grammys once again used BTS for ratings, that they should have been nominated for more than one category, the fact that the group duo category doesn't make sense to begin with, etc. All of our issues were with the Grammys. You all were the ones typing up whole essays about hate tweets that didn't exist. If armies were actually mad at Doja, you would have seen tweets shitting on her trend worldwide. Practically no one was mad at her. You all were the ones who used Doja as a pawn to take shots at BTS. Go fight your own shadow and leave us out of it. Next opinion is, a lot of idols are nepotism babies. I can't believe I didn't realize it before, but a lot of K-pop idols are in the industry solely because they have rich families. The narrative of random people going to audition for companies isn't completely false, but it's definitely not what happens most of the time. Plus, most idols with middle to lower class backgrounds usually end up under smaller labels, while idols with money tend to end up under the big three. That's not to say all nepotism babies are untalented, but realistically they are in the industry because they have connections and could pay their way to an audition with good companies. If you don't believe me, look at IU. IU is now the biggest artist in Korea, but before she debuted she was fucked over several times. A lot of people don't know that IU used to be very poor. She auditioned for 20 companies and was rejected by all of them, and she was scammed several times in the process. She even auditioned for JYP and was rejected, which they would later regret. IU is a superstar now, however she's an anomaly and quite literally everything worked against her, and it's a miracle she's where she is now. The reality is that if you can't pay your way to a good label, you end up under a small one and hope to God you make it big. And a lot of times idols in this situation end up in debt from paying off trainee fees because of the broken debt system, which the big three companies have gotten rid of. Like, y'all seriously don't realize how lucky these idols are that they have connections to be able to sign with big labels, because they don't have to worry about trainee debts, and their chances of being successful quadruples in comparison to idols under smaller labels. Next opinion is, OT4 revelovs need to go. I used to not mind OT4 revelovs. If you've been following me for a while, you know my stance on Wendy, and in the past, I never got mad when people didn't stan her, but now you all are beginning to piss me off. Your condemning of Wendy is performative at best, and it's getting to the point where your edgy behavior is getting the other members dragged. You all complain about Wendy loves, but they are the minority and at least they have the sense to keep their foolishness to themselves, while you all literally open the floor for all of Red Velvet to get dragged because you were trying to be edgy. Soolji, Joy, Irene, and Yeri are all catching strays because you couldn't be OT4 without being messy. And it's so weird that most OT4 revelovs are Blinks or N-citizens, and if anyone made jokes about Jennie or one of those NCT boys getting into an accident or made fun of their appearance, you all would have a problem. But it's supposed to be okay when it comes to Wendy because she's racist, even though both Blackpink and NCT have a list thrice as long as hers. I'm going to say this, and you'll need to hear me. You do not need to rehash what Wendy did every goddamn week. Everyone and their mother knows what Wendy did, and it is the minority of people who defend and make excuses for her. She is literally the face of problematic K-pop idols. She gets jumped quarterly, and every time there is no new insight or progress made in addressing racism in K-pop. You all have nothing new to contribute to the conversation. You make insensitive jokes about her ED and her accident that have nothing to do with what she did. You demand she leave the group like that'll ever fucking happen. Listen now and listen good. You are not holding Wendy accountable, you're just trying to be edgy. And I'm sure you all know that. And like I said, your inability to talk about Wendy without being unnecessarily brutal makes people feel comfortable taking shots at all the members. It doesn't matter that they had nothing to do with what Wendy did. Now people are talking shit about Joy because you have her in your PFP. I really do miss when OT4 stans knew when to shut up because you cause nothing but trouble for the other 4 members and the fandom when you open your mouth. It used to be that we would discuss Wendy's behavior amongst ourselves, but now you all have to get your hit tweets out of dragging her like anybody aside from her acties defend what she did. And frankly, as a black woman it is disturbing to watch you all so freely use a situation that was very uncomfortable for black revelovs to gain Twitter clout. The second I see you all sharing that video so liberally is how I knew you all cared more about dragging her than the implications of what she did. And while we're on the topic, stop sharing videos of idols being anti-black so freely. Why would I as a black person want to open Twitter to some random idol comparing us to monkeys or saying the N-word without warning? Take a sensitivity class or something. Next opinion is, IU is Korea's girl, nobody else. I don't think some of you realize how big IU is in Korea. Like we all talk about it, but the extent of her success and status cannot be understated. Everything she touches turns to gold. IU has set records and broken them herself with every release. She has the biggest stars in Korea coming to be interviewed on her channel for promo. And she has been in the industry coming up on 14 years now with no signs of her popularity declining. Everyone in Korea, regardless of who they are or what they are interested in, knows IU. The other so-called it girls you'll be swearing by are miles behind her. IU is Korea's it girl. No one else. Next opinion is, 2021 officially ruined Twice's digitals in Korea. I say it all the time but Twice was so unnecessarily busy in 2021. They had 10 million different things going on at once, with all of them overlapping each other or with very short breaks in between. And Twice are usually busy, so them being super active wasn't new behavior, but there was something about 2021 that was just too much. If you look at it from the perspective of a casual listener, there was just too much going on. 2 fully fledged Korean comebacks, with several Japanese releases before, after, and overlapping those comebacks, their official US debut and then their second comeback of the year following right on the heels of that. And keep in mind this was all within 8 months. They didn't start releasing music in 2021 until April. And there was only 1 month where they didn't release anything, which was in August. And even then they started releasing teasers for the feels that month. And like I said, these were full-on comebacks. They weren't just dropping OSTs or English versions of songs. People already suspected Twice's digitals were going downhill because of I Can't Stop Me's digitals, but the reception of both of Twice's comebacks in 2021 just confirmed it. I hope that this isn't permanent and that JYP will have the sense to not bombard us with constant activity from Twice. There is something to be gained from building up anticipation from not only fans, but the general public. However, I'm really not sure if Twice's digitals will ever go back to what they used to be. Next opinion is, 99% of K-pop YouTube antis BTS. I'm not fucking with you. I've been on K-pop YouTube for coming up on 4 years now. And you especially have to watch out for anyone who willingly puts it out there that they are an ex-army. They are always antis. I know, because I've watched content from people like that, and they never have anything positive to say about BTS. Most of K-pop YouTube antis BTS, which is why I had to stop watching content from other K-pop YouTubers completely because none of them had anything positive to say about them. If you want to see people say positive things about BTS, avoid K-pop YouTube completely. Literally every single time without fail, K-pop YouTubers are just diet antis if not full-on antis. They try to dilute their bitterness and hatred towards BTS by claiming to be unbiased or trying to claim that they are criticizing HYBE, but it never works. They always bring up stupid talking points like Western validation as if they don't stan groups who talk about wanting to be successful in America and cite BTS as their inspiration for that. The K-pop YouTuber to BTS anti-pipeline is real and I'm calling y'all out on it. You all are miserable. You literally go out of your way to not enjoy the content BTS releases, and you spout the narrative that BTS are desperate for Western validation, which is super fucking racist by the way. And I know you all are going to say OMG you just don't like it when people criticize BTS, and you'd be right. I don't like it because you all don't criticize BTS with the same leniency you give to other K-pop groups. Whenever you all say that you don't like a comeback from a group you don't stan, it's rarely ever personal. But whenever you say you don't like a BTS comeback it's always personal, because you guys can't seem to dislike a BTS song without also complaining about how their music is going downhill. how they are desperate for Western validation, how you hope they enlist soon so other groups will get a chance to shine. You all don't do that shit with any other group aside from BTS, and I'm sick of it. K-pop stans collectively despise BTS. So no, I don't like it when you criticize them, because your clear disdain for them seeps out every single time. And like I said, I see it all the time on K-pop YouTube. I'm not going to name drop, but if you know then you know. If you feel like I'm targeting you, die mad about it. Next opinioners, drop the Wonyoung favoritism argument. Wonyoung is not being shown favoritism by Starship and you all are so overdramatic. All of the proof of favoritism you all claim Wonyoung is being given are literally just symptoms of her being the most popular member. Are you all forgetting that Wonyoung was wildly popular in IZ*ONE? She was, and still is, one of the top if not the top member domestically. People literally compare her to Jennie for the impact she has on Korean teenagers. She's crazy popular in Korea, and that's not anyone's fault and there really isn't much Starship can do about that. Do not mistake this as a defense of Starship, but I really want to squash these favoritism rumors before they gain any traction, because they don't make any sense. Especially because IVE as a whole is being very well received so far. People love them. Wonyoung's popularity definitely helped, but the Wonyoung and Friends narrative in Korea isn't nearly as strong as you all might think. This isn't Suzy and Miss A all over again. Wonyoung will always be the most popular member, regardless of how Starship tries to level the playing field, and her individual popularity is not a result of favoritism. Next opinioners, you all turning pro-military and pro-draft over the fact that BTS might get exemption has to be the craziest shit I've ever seen in K-pop. Like imagine hating BTS so much you literally start supporting the draft. And don't give me that oh well nobody should have to go to the draft as your reasoning behind shitting on BTS, because that's not what you all were advocating for. You all literally use the drag, well at least they served their country, and bragged that Suju, EXO, and Big Bang all went to the military without complaint as if that was supposed to be some sort of flex. And when it came out that BTS might get exempt and your FIV got nothing you freaks literally turned pro-military. Don't pretend like you were all for abolishing the draft as if you weren't calling BTS all sorts of names for not serving the way other idols did. And on top of that, Korea will give exemption to no-name classical musicians and pro-athletes with a fraction of the cultural impact BTS has, but you all never complained about that. You just complained about BTS and the chance that they might not have to serve. You all are quite literally spouting pro-draft and pro-military talking points, and it's absolutely insane for you all to take a right-winged stance simply because BTS might not serve and you had to wait for EXO and Big Bang while they served. You all are like oh well it's not fair that they don't have to serve while every other Korean male does. That is literally pro-draft. You want them to serve because everyone else had to, which is literally supporting the draft. In addition, plenty of you all were cheering for BTS to enlist so other groups could have a chance to shine. BTS hasn't made a comeback in almost a year, hasn't released an album in even longer, and nobody has stepped up to take their place. Groups struggling to enter the top 100 on Melon won't have it easier just because BTS is serving. Nobody cares about the groups you all swear are going to blow up as soon as BTS is out of the picture, and their potential enlistment won't change that. Cope. And the last opinioners, at some point we have to start questioning if Blackpink themselves are part of the reason for their hiatuses. Now hear me out. I know there's a lot that suggests that YG is big and bad and preventing the members from releasing music, but the hiatus from Lovesick Girls until now is starting to convince me that maybe YG isn't the only one pulling the strings. I'm not a bling, so take this with a grain of salt, but from what I've seen and heard, the members have been teasing this comeback literally since the middle of last year and they've released literally nothing. YG confirmed Rose and Jennie went to the US to work on new music in July. It's been nearly 10 months since then, and we haven't heard anything, all while the members have been doing their own solo schedules, that is attending Fashion Week and other influencer activities. At some point we have to question whether or not the members themselves are the reason they are not releasing music. As shitty as YG is, they seem to have plenty of freedom to do what they want with all the sponsorships and different solo gigs they do, so it may be their decision. YG only stands to benefit if they release music. I know some of you cling to the theory that YG is trying to build demand, but frankly it's a stupid one. YG would make way more money if Blackpink came back twice a year than they would building up demand as you all claim they are doing. And I know in the past we've seen the members allude to the fact that they want to come back more often and release more music, and I definitely think YG might have been holding them back in the beginning, but now I think it might be on the members. They don't seem in that much of a rush to release new music anytime soon, and the way they all have modeling and acting gigs lined up tells me that this hiatus might be a personal decision. Anyways, that's all for this video. Once again, sorry for the robot voice. I try not to make a habit of using it unless I'm really busy. Like I said, part 1 is already up on Patreon and it's a lot meaner. The link is in the description. I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.